Lancaster University Executive MBA program contains a lot of real-life challenges in the curriculum. Today I'm joined here by Emma Watton, who delivered a lot of these practice-based learning challenges in many different locations around the world for our Executive MBA.
Yeah, thanks, Radka. It's great to be here with you as well. Yes, I think looking back, I've probably delivered these in at least 3 countries around the world over the last 10 years or so. And what always strikes me is the very practical nature of them. And I think they can deliver real impact and transferable skills. Many times people that come on the Executive MBA are very conversant maybe with one sector or one industry. And if you take them out of that industry and expose them to maybe a not-for-profit organisation or a social enterprise or a small business, then obviously you need to think very differently about how you approach things. And I know we've talked together doing this. I don't know what perhaps maybe your thoughts are on some of the benefits.
I think for me what really always stood out is the diversity of the organisations that we work with. And you rightly said that the Executive MBA learners come from a specific sector, and we try to really introduce a real variety of organisations who they may not have encountered before, and maybe they have to now take into consideration different pressures of different stakeholders. And I always feel that as the learners come together in groups, they're already diverse, and then they are thrown into working with an external client that is, again, maybe comes from a very different background. So I think it really challenges our learners' way of thinking, the way they approach the stuff decision making, but also I think that stuff teamwork and working with people from different organizations. And I know, Emma, you've done a lot of work on establishing that stuff team ethics and the stuff that team charter, and you've been really inspired by your work. Can you maybe reflect on stuff? Why do you think in this stuff challenge-based learning, why is it important to have that stuff team cohesion?
Yeah, it's a good point actually, because I think, again, when I look back, if you gloss over that at the beginning, and sometimes we might know people and therefore we think, oh, well, I'll be fine working with that person because I know them. But actually, unless you understand maybe people's preferences for even small things like when do you have a meeting, at what time, do you all need to agree on certain decisions, or will it be by a majority vote? All of those things, I think sometimes we take those things for granted. And so actually slowing down before you start a task and going through a process, there's a sheet that I share with the students which has 10 questions to ask, and they can discuss those 10 as a group and then come up with, we call it WOW, ways of working. And so that becomes their wow statement of how they will conduct themselves. But definitely I think the teams that invest the time in doing that over the duration of the challenge, which is very fast-paced and also quite stressful, those teams really do perform well in terms of their cohesiveness, maybe looking out for one another, checking in, are people okay? So I really think doing that up front is time well spent.
And of course, when the teams work really well, it's very beneficial for the client as well. So we do incorporate these stuff challenges, to model this experience for the learners, but it's also very beneficial for our client organizations. And, you will remember many comments that we've had from organizations where they probably thought, well, we wouldn't really think about solutions like this. So have you thought about these benefits as well? Can you reflect on your experience with benefiting to the organizations that we work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a couple of things spring to mind. One is we get a lot of repeat clients coming back to us year after year because the previous project has done so well for them. So I think that's testimony to how well our students perform on these tasks. But I think the other real benefit is suddenly you've got a group of very different people, diverse people, often from all around the world, that are bringing their ideas and insights to your particular challenge. And quite often within organisations, there might be people that have worked there for a number of years, and it's not to say that they might not be open to ideas, but maybe the ideas have sort of stumbled in a way in terms of the closed nature of the idea generation. You bring in people from outside with new ideas, new experiences, or new ways of working, then suddenly that can transform those organisations in terms of the variety of ideas that they get. I think back to some that we've had, and it could be breaking into new markets or growing companies or even just processes, organisational processes. And the students, really go the extra mile to deliver a quality report and very often a presentation, to the board of what they're recommending. So I think it's, a fantastic win-win for both sides.
Thank you very much, Emma. We hope you will join us and really enjoy our challenge-based learning in Lancaster University.